One of my favorite things to do on this channel is giving a platform to the Arabs who woke up to the bullshit of the pro-Palestine side. And today we have exactly that. I'm Tal the Traveling Cloud, your favorite Zionist prince. Let's take a look at this clip from an Arab who, and this is a real Arab from Saudi Arabia, he's coming on Twitter, who's actually going to expose the bullshit of the pro-Palestine side.
ما السعودية ما بقى شيء ما أعطتكم إياه، حتى دولة أسست لكم دولة، الملك فهد. يوم ريغان يطلب منه تمويل ثوار الكونترا قال له وحدة بوحدة أبي دولة لفلسطين، قال له أبشر، ووقع الخطاب دولة لفلسطين، وعلم الملك فهد عرفات إنه حصلنا دولة فلسطينية. هرب عرفات ما شافوه إلا بعد 10 سنين من هالكلام هذا. هرب ما يبي دولة فلسطينية. كلكم ما تبون دولة فلسطينية لأن أساسا ما لكم قضية ولا لكم دولة ولا لكم أرض. هذه أرض إسرائيل بالقرآن، وأنتم شتات رومان ملفقين، مغول وتركمان وشركس وأرمن وغجر، ما لكم حق بفلسطين. فلسطين هذه دولة إسرائيلية لبني إسرائيل، وبني إسرائيل لمعلوميتكم بني إسرائيل هذولا عيال إسحاق، وحنا يا العرب عيال إسماعيل، وإسحاق وإسماعيل أخوين أبوهم إبراهيم عليه السلام، يعني هذولا عيال عمنا. لكن أنتم منين جيتوا؟ أنتم وش دخلكم بالموضوع؟ أنتم يا الشتات يا الغجر يا المغول يا التركمان يا الشركس يا الرومان يا بقايا الشعوب. إيش دخلكم بالموضوع؟ إيش دخلكم بالسالفة؟ إيش دخلكم بيننا؟ هذا بني إسرائيل على أرضهم، ما لكم أرض أنتم ولا لكم قضية يا جماعة. أنتم أدوختونا واشغلتونا. والأقصى الأقصى لمعلوميتك ما عندكم أقصى، ما في شيء اسمه أقصى، في شيء اسمه القدس. المسجد الأقصى اللي ورد ذكره هو بالجعرانة 29 كيلو على الطائف، وكان المسجدين المسجد الأقصى والمسجد الأدنى. المسجد الأقصى حقكم بناه الشام عام 72 هجري. كيف يسرى محمد له وهو مبني عام 72 للهجرة؟ يعني بعد وفاة محمد ب60 سنة. تضحكون على مين أنتم؟ تضحكون على مين؟ الفلسطيني أنت ما أنت عربي،
اوبا،
ولا لك أرض ولا لك قضية.
اوبا،
الأرض أرض إسرائيل، والقضية قضية إسرائيل معكم. كان إسحاق شامير ورابين وشارون وجولدا مائير والثاني والله ما ادري ايش اسمه، هذول كانوا ابطال، تدري ولا لا؟ لكن نتنياهو جبان، لان نتنياهو ما حرككم، ما ادري وش يبي بهالاسلحه مكدسها عنده. يا ادمي يا نتنياهو احرق هالعصابات هذه وهالشتات وهالملفقين، وريح نفسك وريح العالم منهم وريحنا احنا منهم.
I don't agree with that.
ليش مخليهم؟ ليش فتح لهم الحدود يهاجرون؟ نراحوا للأردن سووا ويلول الأسود، ونراحوا للكويت انهبوه يوم صدام احتله، انهبوا يلبسون لبس الجيش العراقي وينهبوه. الخسة والنذالة والحقارة ما يتركونها، هذه تربيتهم وهذا دمهم وهذا عرقهم. ليش ما تريح العالم منهم يا نتنياهو إذا أنت رجال وبطل؟ ها؟ الله يلعنكم ويلعن حتى نتنياهو اللي ما خلصنا منكم، لأن نتنياهو تارك لكم الحبل على الغارب، والمفروض نتنياهو هو اللي يأدبكم وهو اللي يخلص العالم من شروركم. أنتم شر في أي دولة تحطون فيها يا الفلسطينيين، شر منزل ولا بكم رجل. أنا مستعد أنام عند يهودي ولا أنام عند فلسطيني. أنا مستعد أقلط يهودي في بيتي وأغديه وأوكله وشربه ورقده، ولا أدخل فلسطيني في بيتي. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Holy fuck. Holy shit. I think I may have been seen bits of this clip, but I don't think I ever saw it in its entirety because I guess it was cut because of some of the extremist shit that the guy says. We've got a lot to unpack here. Are you ready? This is what I talk about all the time, but now you're going to see it in real life. Okay, first of all, by the way this man is dressed, you could tell he's Haliji or Hijazi, which means he comes from the Gulf states. I believe he is Saudi, the way he said in the video, because he's talking about Saudi Arabia, so he's probably Saudi. The point that I've been trying to make since the very, very beginning is that the Saudis, the Emiratis, the Bahrainis, the Omanis, the real Arabs, the only real Arabs in this world who actually know who their ethnicity is and they know where they come from, the ones who are truly the descendants of Ismail, the ones who are actually Arabs, they're the ones who recognize that Palestinians and nobody else in the Middle East is truly Arab. You might misconstrue it as racism. And when I talk about it, I say that the Halijis and the Hijazis are racist towards all other Arabs. But actually, in reality, it's not racism. It's just they know who they are. They acknowledge who they are. And they know it better than you because they come from there. Do you understand what I'm saying? Please let me make this make sense to you one more time if you're confused. Arabs came from one specific place in the Arabian Peninsula. There's theories that they came from southern Syria and the Levant, but all of these they don't hold up much. There's some proto-Arab groups that may have or may haven't had not a connection, but truly Arabs, the way that we know them today, they came from the Arabian Peninsula. They spread out and they conquested and colonized, and they interbred with a bunch of different groups of people. But Arabs, as a cultural phenomenon, they come from one specific place, the Arabian Peninsula, nowhere else. This man comes from the Arabian Peninsula. He knows who he is. He doesn't need to DNA test himself. He knows who he is. He knows that when he goes and does archaeological digs in Saudi Arabia, he finds Arab artifacts. He finds the history of the Arabs. He doesn't find that in Egypt. He doesn't find that in Iraq. He doesn't find that in Lebanon. He doesn't find it in Israel or in Palestine. It doesn't exist because Arabs came there way later. And you can see this shit unraveling. He's tired of the bullshit. I don't agree with what he's saying. I don't think that we need to dispose of the Arabs. I don't think we need to dispose of the Palestinians. I do, though, agree that when he says, Palestinians, you are not Arabs, I 100% agree with him. Palestinians, you are not Arabs, at least not true Arabs. You're Arabized. You are Arabized. You are not real Arabs. And nobody in the Arab world who knows that they actually are Arab considers you as real Arabs. Nobody accepts you as real Arabs. And you yourself do not accept yourself as real Arabs. Why? Because if a Sudanese person comes to you and tells you, I'm an Arab, you'll say, no, he's black. He's not a real Arab. And you'll do it to the Lebanese as well. And you'll do it to the Syrian. And you'll do it to the Iraqis. Palestinians, the reason why you're not real Arabs is because you act like all the other Arabized groups in the Middle East who are not Arab. You guys are so hungry to prove your Arabist ways and your Arabism that you need to be racist against other Arabized people to prove their un-Arabness, to bring your Arabness out. When in reality, you have a small group of people who are the real Arabs, who are looking at you and saying, none of you guys are real Arabs. We're the real Arabs. Again, this is the Gulf states, the Halijis, the Hijazis. They know who they are. And I have much respect for them for this. Again, I don't agree with the whole concept of I won't have a Palestinian in my house. I don't trust Palestinians. I don't agree with all that. I have plenty of Palestinian friends and I love them dearly. And I have no problem with them in that regard. I think their ideology is fucked. But I agree with him in the concept that Palestinians, you are not real Arabs. You are Armenians, you're Turks, you're Circassians, you're descendants of Judeans, you're descendants of Israelites, but you are definitely not Arabs. At least not in whole or even in a large percentage of your DNA or your ethnicity. So what do I suggest? Let's live together. Nobody needs to go. Nobody needs to get killed. Let's live here together with your confused identity under one state called Israel. Israel is real. It's rooted in something, even in your Quran. It's rooted in there. You can't remove Israel. Palestine is a total fabrication of history. It never existed as a state, as a kingdom, as anything of significance. It was never more than just a name for a region that mostly colonizers used. Mostly. So, fine, be a Palestinian, whatever the fuck that means. You want to be a nationality living in amongst another nationality? Tfaddal, Habibi, go do it. As long as you agree that other people can live there amongst you or live there governing you, we're fine. You just don't get to have control over this land anymore. That ship has sailed. That's done. The Arabs have lost control to the land they colonized, and inshallah, the Arabized peoples of the Middle East will keep losing control to these pieces of land, and these lands can go back to the rightful owners. And the Arabs can have their incredible kingdoms in the Halij and the Hijaz. They can have their incredible pieces of land with their history that we can open up for tourism and we can live in peace, and the Sudanese people can be governed by the Sudanese and not by an Arabist ideology. And the Iraqis can stop being Arabs and they can go back to being Mesopotamian. And they can acknowledge, and same with the Iranians, and same with the Lebanese, they can go back to being Phoenician, whatever the fuck that means. And the Syrians can go back to being Assyrian. And the Judeans and the Israelites can go back to being Judeans and Israelites. And they don't need this overarching pan-Arabist racist ideology sitting above them telling them, you're an Arab and you're not an Arab. Let's relinquish it. Let's let go of it. Let's move on to a better future for everyone's sake, including the Saudi man who's clearly frustrated from all of this. This shit is unraveling. And if you think for a second that they may not say it up front, but most Saudis, especially the ones that I speak to online, and I've been speaking to a lot recently, they acknowledge my right to be here. They acknowledge that we are the true descendants of this land. And again, this isn't removing the Palestinians from this land. I believe they have a right to be here. It's just their identity is clearly confused, and they're made up of a bunch of groups that may or may not have historical ties to the land. But it doesn't matter. They should be allowed to live here. They should be allowed to live here. I say it again and again and again. Whether they're Arabized or Muslim or Christian or whatever the fuck they are, they should be allowed to live here. Just not in control of the land anymore. That's it. No more Palestine. It doesn't exist. We need to remove it. There's no more You can be a Palestinian if you want to. If you want to call that your ethnicity, I'll question you on it because it's confusing as fuck. What does it mean to be a Palestinian ethnicity? Oh, it means that you're an Israelite or a Phoenician or a Philistine. Okay, so you're just an Israelite, but whatever. You want to call it a Palestinian? Call it a Palestinian. Live in dual reality. Please. Go do whatever makes your heart happy. Just don't try to be the only one who's allowed to live here. Don't try to make yourself the supremacist race in this region. That you, because you're an Arab Palestinian, you're allowed to live here and nobody else is. So I don't agree with everything that guy said, but I think the most important part of the video is specifically when he says this. This, right here. This is the best.
أنت ما أنت عربي. ولا لك أرض ولا لك قضية.
You are not Arabs and you have no land and you have no case. I agree. They have no land and they have no case to make a case for having a country. There is no moral, ethical justification to creating a 53rd Muslim state in the Middle East or a 23rd Arab supremacist ethno-state in the Middle East. There is no justification to it. First, create a Kurdish state. Then you can create a Mandean state. Then you can create an Assyrian state, a Druze state, anybody else first before Arabs get another state in the Middle East. Truly, that's what I believe. And it's not a racist thing against Arabs. It's just, how can we justify creating another Arab state in the Middle East? It doesn't make any sense. I'll see you guys next one. I love you a long time. Goodbye, clats. If you believe in my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to support me, being PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or joining my Patreon community down below. Patreon is the best way to support my channel, and you'll get a bunch of cool perks depending on what tier you join. Another great way to support me is by buying my merchandise on thetravelingclat.com. I regularly drop new merch designs like this beautiful hat or this amazing shirt, where you can support the channel and get something cool for yourself. I also have an amazing Discord community with people from all over the world. Thank you so much for your support.